Secure the Bag series of the summit. One of the things we tried to do is pivot because obviously COVID. Normally, a couple of years ago, we had a massive summit, a really big one that was amazing. But we've had to pivot because of COVID. So we wanted to have these different series where we're having conversations and really doing what we do best at Avancé Ensemble, which is engaging Haitian millennials and really having all types of conversations and trying to learn and grow from each other. I have the opportunity to be a board member of Avancé, so I'm really happy to be here with Dannie and Stephane. Dannie, please introduce yourself, and then I'll have Stephane do the same.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Avancé, for having me on. It's such a pleasure to be able to speak to so many people about securing the bag. As Gil mentioned, my name is Dannie Augustin. I am a franchisee for two brands. I started off as an engineer, so my background is engineering. I'm Haitian American and went into franchising. I own a Nothing Bundt cakes as well as a tropical smoothie. And I'm excited to be here.
Thank you, Dannie. Stephane, please introduce yourself.
Good morning, all. Thank you for the Avancé Ensemble team for having me back again. I definitely do remember the conference a couple years back. It was epic, a good time, good vibes, and so when I got the opportunity to contact and speak with the community again, of course, it was all thumbs up. As stated, my name is Stephane Jean-Baptiste. I am the co-founder and chief operating officer for Kreyol. We specialize in natural and ethical beauty products with ingredients that we source from Haiti. Currently sold online at KreyolEssence.com, Ulta Beauty, Whole Foods, in addition to recently this year, QVC. So super excited to talk about just the business of business with the community.
That's amazing. So I guess, we only have an hour. So we have to move through these things really quickly, but I really want to give everybody tangible tips. So I guess, Dannie, if you could start by telling us what brought you to entrepreneurship from engineering.
I think my roadmap is a little different than others. I was very happy with engineering. Engineering was, I've always been great with math and science. So I went to Florida A&M, go Rattlers, orange and green, and got a degree in industrial engineering. And I was working at Boeing on I worked at the Space Center as well as the satellite division, space satellite division. And then I was on the 787 program, which was the new aircraft at that time. So it was exciting to be able to work on something new and being able to improve the process and make a change. So while I was working on that program, I was doing great work there. And Boeing pays very well. I will never discount that part of them. But I realized that, I was putting in, 110%, and I was getting back. My bonuses were nice, but they weren't equivalent to the work I was doing that I felt. So that was the moment that I realized, a business might be the next route for me, the best route for me. And I'm not a creative person. I'm very, very much so science and math. So the next thing would have to be for me would have to be something that's already established, that has a proven track record, and that turns into franchise. So from there, I just knew franchise was the route for me that would work best, since I'm not going to create the newest hair technique or the latest, hair product or shirt, design wear, nothing. That's not me. I like plug and play situation. So I just started in my early 20s, started saving for franchise, and just knew that the fact that they always say, invest in what you like and love. So I was just trying to find the right brand to be a part of.
That's awesome. We definitely want to talk more about that. And how about, Stephane, for you, what brought you to entrepreneurship?
And a couple turns here and there. Similarly, I actually would have preferred a couple years back. If you told me I was going to be an entrepreneur, I would have said no. So I went to undergrad at Temple in Philadelphia, and I studied communications there. So for me, it was either going up to New York and being part of a production crew, or out in LA working on movies, or, something like that. But, entrepreneurship always called. I started my first company, Nouveau Concepts, which is a media and communications firm with a fraternity brother of mine, off just the whim of like, hey, I'm a graphic designer. We have clients essentially asking us for, lending our creativity to them, and how do we leverage that? And so we ended up working on cause-based marketing opportunities, events, and working with a lot of small businesses to really work on their packaging, their identity, and communication collateral. Still, the whole time I'm wishing that, like, hey, I need to go work at Madison Avenue, the corporate office, and and so I did that. I had a couple stints working with corporations and different institutions. But Kreyol Essence itself came about with my partner Eve Carmon Peruz, where she experienced a hair catastrophe. And she likes to say that she went to an event to look for me. I don't know. She probably was looking for somebody else, but and found me. But she experienced heat damage, going through that. And after the event, after straightening her hair and looking fly, her hair fell out. And for us as Haitian Americans, and at the time we were very most focused on relief effort and nonprofit work in the Philadelphia area. And business was far from our minds. For her, her goal was to be a governor. My goal was to run her campaign and do communications. And so with that experience, we went back and said, hey, what is that ingredient that we know in our community that's going to really help her grow her hair back and just really make her feel at her best? And it was Yudmaskutsi. For me, when the idea came about, I saw it as an opportunity to help continue the work that I was doing with regards to rebranding. I have a passion of really changing that narrative of the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. And what better way to do it but through beauty and through a consumer packaged good company that everyone can say, hey, this is from Haiti, and we're going to put the respect, we're going to put the culture and the beauty about Haiti through the packaging, through our representation as a brand. So that was the beginning of the entrepreneurship journey. And similar to what Danny said, like, a lot of people are like, hey, how'd you go from here to there? And at the end of the day, I always tell them, like, I'm still doing my life's work. I'm still in creativity. I'm still sort of advancing my agenda for Haiti. So I'm still doing what I'm passionate about.
That's awesome to hear. I have so many questions, but I guess, Danny, for you, one of the things you often hear with franchising one is there are 1,000,001 franchises. I'm exaggerating, I'm sure, but there are quite a bit of different franchise brands. What led you to pick the two you did? And, how did you make that decision, right? How did you come to that? And I'm sure it involved lots of research, but ultimately, what about those brands spoke to you over others?
As I mentioned, you're supposed to go into what you like and love. So that's how it happened for me. When I first started, I was doing a lot of research on all kind of brands. I even looked at Subway, and I was like, oh, I should get into Subway. It was the perfect time actually to get into it. But I had to realize that I'm not a cold cut kind of girl. Do not give me a cold sandwich. I do not want the cold sandwich. So I was like, that can't be a brand for me. So I had to make sure that the brand aligned with who I am in general. So the thing about franchise is that there is 1,000,001 franchise out there. And within those, you only qualify for so many in all actuality. So the thing was, I needed something I love. I love sweets. It's just something I'm addicted to. I have sweets every day. It's just my thing. I love them. So when I first had Nothing Bundt Cake, I think we were engaged I think we were married. I think we were married at that point. But we were, because we were selling a home in Texas, and our realtor got us, gave Janice, my wife, the Nothing Bundt Cake, and she brought it home to Florida, and I had it, and I was like, oh my God, this is so amazing. So I knew that was a product. And then as far as Tropical Smoothie, I went to FAM, and it was a brand that I always knew and I enjoyed. But throughout this whole process, I've looked at so many different brands. Some work best for me. Some we had conflict and interest because I own the Nothing Bundt Cake. So it just kind of goes to doing your research, doing your due diligence, because you're taking a chance at the end of the day. So you want to make sure that, at the end of the day, if the brand is not successful, at least you enjoyed owning it at that time. Maybe you enjoyed eating that food or enjoy the service that you provide, so that's how it was for me.
I love that you said that, Danny, because entrepreneurship can be such a trying and difficult journey, right? People often think it's like this Instagrammable thing where you're making all of this money and you're, sitting over coffee and you're, having 3 or 4 hour lunches and you're going to beautiful galas. Um, for anybody out there who's an entrepreneur, that is absolutely not the case. It is quite the opposite. So
you're on your feet for like 5 hours non-straight stop, people calling, you get a 10-minute break just for a potty break, and then you're back on it. So
yeah. I look at my staff eat lunch, and I'm eating lunch at the computer. I'm like, oh, okay, enjoy your 40 minutes. And I'm like,
yeah. One of the things you mentioned is not qualifying. What did you mean by that? Do you mean in terms of financially, like one might not have the funds to qualify to open said franchise?
So yeah, so with franchise, there's not a lot of requirements in general. The thing with franchise is that you have to have a certain net income, credit score, some experience, and then what really comes down to it is the locations. You might fall in. At one point, I was just like gun ho on McDonald's. I was like, okay, yeah, we're gonna do this McDonald's business because I can live off of French fries for some reason. That's my thought. But McDonald's has a different operation mode where they're like, okay, yeah, you can qualify, find, your net worth and all that. But no, we select the location for you. So there's just different things that every franchise has certain requirements that just might not work for you. You might not want to start off at this location, or you might not want to train at a certain state. It's just kind of just what works best for you and your family.
Got it. Thank you. I mean, and this, I'm going to move to a question for you, Stephane. One of the questions that most business owners have is, how do you grow? How do you scale? And, for a lot of people, scaling agrandit business, right? So, pour soutenir une bouteille pour aller 70 bouteilles, right? To go from 70 now, Stephane, to selling 10,000. How do you scale? How do you get there?
Yeah, no, a really good question. I think scaling is actually one of the most important things that people don't talk about, because it's often like, okay, hey, yeah, startup, and then you see the end result, but like there's that growing pain of scaling and getting to that point, like you said, from one bottle to hundreds and thousands, or from one store. Like right now, we actually have about 3,000 distribution points, and so that came about over time. I would say one of the biggest things is team. Number one is you cannot do it by yourself. No man is an island. Ifkar and I are blessed to have each other to sort of bounce off of each other. I mostly handle operations, but she jumps in when needed, and then I'll jump into marketing once needed as well. So I would say team is number one thing with regards to scaling. I would say two, vision, right? Like we often where we end up or things that we put out in the universe, so had that initial vision of like, okay, hey, you know what, next year, here's the goal that we're going to do. Here's the goal. Here's the store that I want to go after. So having that vision, being unapologetic about it, and, just really putting it in the universe and going after your intentions, I would say is a big piece of scaling. Because also, like, you don't want, and I think Danny would say the same thing too, like you don't want to scale in the wrong place, or same thing, right? When you're scaling and growing a business, you want to make sure that you're aligning that path. Like for us, it was the right retailer, making sure that we can identify the right retailer to allow us to scale. That will give us that resources. And for us, it was Ulta Beauty. We ultimately knew that we wanted to be in a beauty retailer. And when we sat down with them, we said, hey, we want a home for Kreyol Essence. We want to make sure that all of our customers know where they can find us, find our products. And they've been great as far as giving us resources to scale. I would say the third tip is finances. We all like, and that's something that no one talks about, right? It's like startup. You need money to make money. And one of the biggest things for us was fundraising, but we realized that around like 2016, 2017, we had to go back to the consumer, paying attention to them, and what's called bootstrapping in the industry. So we bootstrapped for the longest. Anything that was made, we put it back into the business, and we still operate in a bootstrapping model. But finding access to capital is going to be like the biggest thing with regards to scaling. And I know we can probably dig deeper into that, but for people of color, for women, it's often very difficult. But there are opportunities out there like a friends and family round, different grants, different financing vehicles or convertible note, different financing vehicles that would help you scale. Because to get inventory, you need the cash. In order to find the right people to hire them, you need the cash. So I would say those are the top three things with regards to scaling.
Now, I mean, another question for you, because we don't talk about the financing piece, right? We just have this magical picture that people went from 1 to 1,000, and we often think it's overnight. No, generally speaking, people are working for years and years and years before they go from 1 to 2 and 2 to 5. And although 5 to 6 may be easier, but it's still a long time. For you guys, what ultimately is the scaling vision, and do you ever see yourself selling Kreyol Essence? Do you ever see, what are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, so I had to your point, I forgot, I went to a conference or something and they said it takes 10 years to be an overnight success, and I was like, what are you talking about? It doesn't make sense. And I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I love hip-hop history. And I remember listening to a Fugees album and Akon was on it. Akon came out in the early 2000s, and the score dropped in 96, 97. I'm like, yo, this dude was actually hustling with the refugees way back when, and no one knew that. And so even for us, we've been at it for I think this is year 6, year 7. For us, and we finally feel we're at that point of traction. Like I said, Alta being a huge blessing with allowing us to have that opportunity with the 1,300 doors themselves. But it was a lot of years of just saying, hey, you know what? Let's put Haitian black castor oil on the map. I saw a L'Oreal commercial the other day, and they were like, yeah, made with castor oil. I'm like, what? We would go to conferences and they laughed at us. They're like, no, this is not a hero ingredient. So it was just a lot of work of putting that effort in. But to directly answer your question, what does it look like? Selling, I mean, you get to a certain point, and again, I'm sure even Danny would say that too. You get to a certain point, very early on, it's no, I would never sell this. This is my baby.
No, I would sell. What are you talking about? I'm building something over here to sell off.
Yeah. But okay, from our end, it was I would never sell. This is my baby. I'm gonna see it. It's gonna grow. And then you get to a certain point, you put some years in. It's yeah, that selling is not a bad idea. But no, we're definitely open to that. And also if we do sell, we definitely want to do it in a way that you look at a Shea Moisture and what they were able to do. Leverage it and build a foundation out of it, and so that you can essentially create a legacy for other small businesses to find their footing. So that's often one of the things that Ifkar and I say, we want to get to that point where maybe creating a incubator for Haitian businesses or just small businesses that with great ideas, and really work with them to get to that next level and to scale as well.
Awesome. So Danny, you have a different vision. You are ready and building to sell. So couple of questions for you, Danny. Do franchises normally appreciate in value? And how does that work? Does the brand have a first right of refusal? Do you have to clear selling with them? Talk to us a bit about that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I did want to just touch base real quick on the finance piece that Stephane mentioned on the side of, I guess, the quote unquote entrepreneur, because some people don't view as a franchisee as an entrepreneur. No. But for our resources, for finances, it is different. There's no grants. Grants do not come around for us. We don't qualify for it. And it is what it is. And it's fine. But the good thing about franchise is that they have a proven track record. So if you're not selecting a new kid on a block franchise, you're great. You're doing great because they already have preferred vendors, preferred lenders. So that works with you. So it's easier to get financed if you meet the requirement. Your credit just has to be good. Let's just be honest. Just honesty is that if you're going into that franchise world, everything, your business credit is tied to your personal credit. Mm-hmm. Don't let anyone tell you any other way. Yeah. So your business credit is your personal credit. So if you have that intact and then you have, the assets for as collateral, that works So you'll look into SBA loan, which is just more of a difficult process,
Mm-hmm.
but it's difficult, but the banks will give you the lending. Now, when you do scale up and expand, that's where you're looking into conventional loans. Or, if you're smart about your dollars and you've been planning to scale up, you've already saved. So you're going to be like, okay, well, business A will fund business B startup.
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to, it's important to always have it in your mindset what your ultimate goal is. So for me, it is creating a nice portfolio of businesses that at the end of the day, I can sell off. Somebody can come in, a big franchise group can be like, okay, well, you have 5 of this brand and 5 of that brand. Yes, we'll just bundle it up and pay you off. With the franchise, when you want to sell it, yes, the franchisor does have first right, a refusal, but when you're selling it as a big package, that becomes a different thing. And that's why it comes down to doing your research.
And by big package, Danny, that means same franchises, right? So you mean specifically, like in your case, 4 tropical smoothies or 4 nothing Bundt cakes.
Yeah, so they would have we would have a conversation on each of them, and then they would have to, obviously, at the end of the day, most of the time, franchises do not want to take on your franchise. What they're trying to do is collect the royalty and keep it moving. Mm-hmm. They're not trying to make that particular store a corporate store, because then they have to spend the resource, while before they were just making passive income. Now, it's a big difference when your location is probably the only location in that particular area, and you're like a $5 million store. That's a whole different story. But if you're, average volume as the unit of all the other units in that franchise, and there's multiple franchises in that area, and you're far from the headquarters, they probably would be like, no, we're okay. But it's a big difference when you're in that same city, you're the largest producing franchise for them.
That's helpful. So I want to talk about some pitfalls. Like, Stephane, one of the things, people think about retailers, you get into Whole Foods, you get into Ulta, it's fantastic and it's amazing and you're selling all these things. But here's the thing people tend to forget. What happens when it doesn't sell, right? So Whole Foods orders 7,000 or Ulta orders 25,000 units, right, to be distributed across. And they go through a year and they only sell 13 of the 25,000. What happens? Do they tell you come pick up your stuff? Do they cut the price? And how does that ultimately affect the business?
Well, knock on wood, grâce à Dieu, béni soit l'Éternel, that has not happened to us.
That's awesome.
But yes, it is along that line. So I mean, like to your point, even going early on, like you were saying, as far as getting into the stores, and yes, it's an exciting moment to be like, yes, I have distribution, but then going back to 1, having the team, and 2, having the resources to actually fulfill those orders. We got into Whole Foods, and I mean, we didn't even have full staff yet. We fulfilled that first order out of our house in Homestead a couple years back, of just like, cranking and putting oils in bottles and moving forward. But in that particular scenario, if, we had a friend that sold a lot of products to retailers during the COVID period, and then they said, hey, it's not selling, come pick it up. Or they would heavily discount it. So that's something that, you don't necessarily want to be in that. Like, of course, you're going to move those units, but the heavily discount might tarnish the brand, might tarnish the brand equity. But the other thing, too, is also working. I would say that the major tip and the major takeaway is having a close relationship with your buyers so that you don't get to that point. You're always working with buyers and your team to work on projections. And if you don't have the right projections, you push back and say, hey, I need to produce X, because that's cash. That's cash sitting right there. It's going to be capital and time to actually invest in that inventory, to move it. The supply chain right now is being decimated after COVID. And so it's actually getting more and more expensive to move things in and around the country, in addition to bringing things from China. So that's cash that you have to outlay, and you don't get paid on that until about 30 if you're lucky, 60, 90 if for the larger boys, right? So you want to be able to work with your in-house team and also with your retailer team in order to project well, to make sure that you're getting the right amount of products and inventory there. So yeah, I would say the major takeaway is try not to get to that level so that you can essentially plan well. But if you do, there's options of heavily discounting it. If you do bring it back, like I said, it might not be the best choice because of just the shipping that you're paying on top of it, and some of the fees. They actually do charge fees for chargebacks. So those are the things that you want to try to avoid. But yeah, you can take it, and then hey, it's your inventory, and you can try to find another seller for it. There are brokers in the space that would take or surplus or an overflow of inventory and resell it. That's how things end up in, like, you know, your TJ Maxx's and your Dollar General and some of those, like, you know, other areas, because they're distributors specifically for those areas.
Got it. Thank you. And Danny, on your end, what are some of the pitfalls? Like, specifically, you know, we live in an area that's extremely expensive, and most of the times I'm sure you negotiate long-term leases, but as you go up for a lease renewal, and now the landlord wants 25% more in rent because South Florida's more expensive, or to Stephane's point, COVID has made cups and straws and plastic more expensive and all kinds of materials. How do you kind of navigate that? How do you deal with that?
So everything is an increase in price. Everything. Yesterday I was on a hunt for straws. Just, it's just, you couldn't find straws anywhere, even from my vendor. So it just took forever to find it. But how do you, so you asked me two questions, so I'll answer the first one. Some of the major pitfalls. Pitfalls definitely goes into finance, with, you could qualify for that particular franchise, but do you have the capital injection, to get that finance? Most, if you start with the SBA, that's 20%. So if you're looking at a franchise that the build out is between $350,000 to $700,000, you better make sure you have a good 25% for capital injection in period, because it will go over. The next pitfall will be the build out. Well, not the next one, will be the negotiation. And that'll tie into your second question, Gil, with your lease. I think a lot of people feel intimidated in general when they start something new. When I first got into franchise world, I didn't feel intimidated. I knew, I was like, I'm the boss. I'm the one who has the money. This is my checkbook. So we're going to, do as I say. So I definitely pushed back on a lot of things. Even my realtor was like, well, no, this, and I just pushed back. So you always want to keep in mind that whatever you think is right, because it's your money. Just remember this: if you do go into the franchise world and you are negotiating, you want to negotiate for tenant improvement. You want to get as much as money you can. So as soon as you build out, you have money coming to you from your landlord. So that can help out as a resource. B, definitely do not allow them to start the rent commencement at a certain date. You want it to start after permit. Once you secure, that's the biggest pitfall. I think a lot of people, I've always pushed back on that and been very successful and been able to get a couple free months of rent, because then I push permit quickly. So always make sure that you want your rent to commence 180 days or whatever that time frame once you're able to start your permit process. And then, so with most leases, it is a 10-year process. You're locked in for 10 years. You're the guarantee. You want to negotiate not to be the guarantee, but hey, if you are, it's fine. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be, this is a brand you believe in. So you're going to be successful. You're going to be there for 10 years, but you're going to also be an adult, a responsible adult. And if your business is not doing well, you will have a conversation with your landlord, so they can help you negotiate and find a new tenant, so you're not on the hook for it. Do not wait until you're closing down the doors. They're gonna be like, no, you still owe me this rent. So just know to have that conversation. So I think I gave you three. I had pregnancy brain. So, I think I gave you 3 things. I'm not sure.
No, this is good stuff, Danny.
I gave you the 3 pitfalls. Oh yeah, negotiate within your lease. you're stuck for 10 years, but you also have a renewal part. So then there's going to be a cap. So there won't be like, hey, you can increase it by 25%. You're probably going to have that cap, but as well as throughout your whole lease, your rent is increasing. So a little bit. And then, yeah.
I was going to say, Danny touched on a really good point of negotiation, even who, again, with retailers, everything's negotiable. You know, like you don't get, you know, oh yeah, I'm excited, Walmart called or Target called. Like it's still your business. You still got to keep it afloat. It's, yes, of course it's exciting, but you know, look at those terms, study those terms, you know, to make sure, because for them, they make their money on the smaller things. You know, it's like I said, the chargebacks, the missed shipments, the late fees, you know, all that type of stuff. And so those are all things that you can negotiate to say, you know what. And what we're finding is also a lot, like the bigger they are, the older they are, right? So they're going to do like old school ways of marketing and you know, negotiation and papers, and that might not work for your business. So always try to negotiate it on terms that make sense for you and your growth.
Yeah, always.
That's really good to hear from both of you. Go ahead, Danny.
I was just saying, with COVID, you know, we're still in, so everything is more expensive. You know, you just have to be realistic on your pricing. Sometimes you do have to increase. People will have, you know, have a couple of words about it, but at the end of the day, everything has increased. Like even, so I opened up during COVID a tropical smoothie, and I'm in the process of opening up another tropical smoothie, and I could see the difference in pricing. Like this is not 2 years apart. This is within 1 year. And the pricing, my equipment cost is more, my GC cost is more. So you just have to already know everything is going to be an increased value, price on everything. You know, everything comes from China, obviously. So everything is just, you know, there's going to be delays with it. And when there's delays, that means you're not making money, which means you're losing money. So just plan for that.
Well, I love that both of you talked about the negotiation piece, because that's so important. And to your point, Danny, around the leasing and the permit, that's big. I'm curious also about terms, like to get really technical for folks, because I want folks to be able to look at this and say, okay, I know what some of this really involves. I can explore this as an option, or maybe I need to look to something else. So for you, Stephane, when you're in stores, generally, what's this? I know it's negotiable, but is it generally a 50-50 split? Is it a 60-40? How does that work?
Yeah, good question. So the main thing is really looking at your own margins. Most retailers, they're gonna want 60, you know, plus points on there as well. So, you know, you have to essentially build your products out to the point where it can actually, if you're ready for stores. Not every business, and I would say this, right? Like not every business model is ready for stores. And that might not necessarily be like in 2022 with e-commerce and Shopify blowing up, Instagram blowing up. Like there are a lot of businesses going directly to consumer that are actually keeping your healthy margins. And margins, you know, if you're out there, if you're not familiar with the term, is essentially like the percentage that you're actually, what you're selling the product for, how much it actually costs to make, and what the revenue that you're actually taking home from there. So generally industry, I think you want to, healthy wise, you want to be at about like that 80-85% on the margins. You know, that just gives you an opportunity to, you know, when prices go up, you know, you can have essentially like a buffer, or when essentially you identify that retailer that you want to work with, you know that they're going to chip away from those margins as well. So, you know, they'll take their 40-50% off of that. And then, so that means like there's what, 30 or so, maybe Danny would know. I'm the marketing guy. She'll do the math for me. But no, but generally, you know, you have to be prepared for that. And that's why I said ultimately, like, what does scaling look like for you? Is it retail? Is it on your .com? Because all that will impact how you essentially establish your pricing for a product. So you want to make sure like that margin is actually built in for the stores. But yes, some places you can negotiate how much they take on there. Other places like, nope, that's it. We're coming in, we're taking 60%. Where there are rooms to negotiate are some, especially the larger boys, like your Target and your Whole Foods and your Walmarts or even Ulta. There's, you know, opportunities for marketing. You know, some places like they'll take that off the bat and say, hey, you know what, you're part of this marketing co-op, 10% off of that. Or hey, you know, we're doing returns, like you said, right? When they actually build that into your contract of like, there's off the bat a 5 to 10% that they're taking for damage and returns. So that's how they essentially protect themselves. But again, for you as the entrepreneur, you want to protect yourself with your own margins to know that you can sustain those individual hits. And like Danny said, yeah, I'm sure if you look at some reviews, folks do not like price increases, but to keep the business afloat and to keep the quality there, you know, you want to ensure that you're putting in like not only the blood, sweat, and tears, but the quality that the consumer wants and expects. Sometimes, you know, a 10 or 15% increase might be warranted to keep the business afloat.
Exactly. I think people forget that you're like, no, me, you know, increasing it by 10%, I'm not going to become a millionaire. This is not why. It's literally to keep labor, to keep material, to keep this product on the shelf for you. You know.
My question for you, Danny, like, you know, as if folks are looking into franchising and you go through the magazines and you see, you know, McDonald's, $1.5 million is the average return, Dunkin' Donuts, 3 million, whatever it is, right? How realistic is that? And what can someone do to impact those numbers in a positive way?
It's very realistic, I think. The numbers, I will say, the franchise world is not a lie. They do give you the FDD, which is a franchise disclosure document, which is pretty good with their numbers. They kind of give you the average units, the low performing units and the higher performing units, and you kind of could gauge where you would fall into it. So I think the numbers are pretty accurate. It comes down to, did you pick the right location? You know, do you have a great team? Are you efficient? You know, you could have the right location, a great team, but you know, you're spending too much on inventory. Is a lot of wasted inventory, or you overhired, overstaffed. You know, there's just so many things that are eating away from your return. So you have to always look at your cost of goods, your labor, your overhead. So all of that, or you found the perfect location, but the rent is super high. So right there, your rent is like 15%, and you're like, oh my, you know, where it should have been about no more than 6%. So just different things kind of plays a role on it. Are you marketing? Do you have the capability to really market? So it just kind of, everything just anything can go. You know, you can be the high performing unit or a low performing unit just based off of your skill set and what you're willing to put in and just what's available to you right now. You know, right now there's COVID, so you don't have that many, you know, labor is very hard to come by.
Yeah.
I mean, what, McDonald's offering folks $500 sign-in bonus and $15 an hour? That's hard to compete with.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, you know, so as a small business, you know, you're still a small business, even if you're part of a franchise. You're still a small business. It's very difficult. It's tough. So, you know, people wear your mask, get vaccinated. I don't know how everybody else feel, but that's how I feel. You know, it's just so difficult. It's just difficult.
Let's get back to a semblance of normalcy.
Yeah, because it's just hard to compete with the larger brands. It's very hard to compete. And then their margins are even better. So they can offer that $15 because their cost of good is probably 20% or even 30, not even, it's probably like 20 or 15%. So they have a better margin. So
it's interesting that you mentioned the competition piece, because I'd like to talk about that with both of you. In your case, Danny, like you take the larger brands, you know, you'll see sometimes a McDonald's, well, they're going to do smoothies now, right? Or like a Wendy's, they're going to suddenly do more than just their, you know, desserts. They're going to start doing, you know, something more along the lines of like a cake or something. How do you remain competitive when these larger brands attempt to take, you know,
it's market share,
you know, market share from you? How does that work?
So for me, with the Nothing Bundt cakes, is literally our marketing is literally getting cake in people's mouth. And with COVID, that made it so hard to even market, because that's what I used to do. I gave out free cake. Like I gave out cake. Because when somebody tastes it, they're like, this is amazing. And it's truly an amazing product. But with COVID, that's made it difficult. So it's just one of those things that we stayed open throughout COVID. I mean, I worked, but COVID hit. My team was like, I don't feel comfortable working. You know who was there? Me. I was there every day. I was the one. So during COVID, you probably had a cake from me, okay? Not my employees, but it was me that you had the cake from. But you just, you work, making sure that you're able to stay competitive with making sure you can provide the service that they're used to. Now I do more social media posting, we have a marketing team, so they do the posting or sending out emails and different stuff like that. So you pay into a marketing budget in general, and then you have your local marketing budget, which is a little difficult for me to kind of operate right now since we don't have so many events that I can sponsor. So it's just kind of, that's how you stay competitive. And, really, when somebody wants to celebrate, they want to go all out. And so they want a beautiful cake. They don't want, no shade to Publix. I grew up on Publix, but they don't want a sheet cake from Publix. They want an elaborate cake. So that's where we stay competitive on that edge for the cake business, for Nothing Bundt Cakes. And then with Tropical Smoothie, we offer a healthier option. Yes, McDonald's offers smoothies, but hey, you want a wrap? You want to grab, kale and apple slaw? You want something lighter? You want something that is not just artificial? I don't know the ingredients to McDonald's, but I'm pretty sure it's not fresh fruit. I'm just guessing that. But you want something that has fresh fruit, so it's kind of a different opportunity, and you kind of make sure that's where it goes into. When you're selecting your location. So, from Nothing Bundt Cakes, I'm in a different target demographic, more families, more women kind of thing, because that's what they, that's who's buying the product. While Tropical Smoothie, I knew I wanted this location to be in an urban location, because I feel like there's no good product for us. Everybody doesn't want to have something fried. So given a different options, especially there's a lot of businesses. So by the way, I am right on Broward Boulevard off of 95 in that Walmart shopping plaza, if you want to stop by. But just to give those businesses opportunities to have better food, in that community to have better food. And then my next location is a different demographic who going to want that. They're like in that North Miami Beach. They want that, they want that. They're used to the healthier choice. To kind of you want to make sure you select the right location so it's just easier for you to market and brand recognition.
That's
awesome.
Quick
question. Did you build your own marketing team, or like that's part of sort of like the franchise?
Part of the franchise. You pay your royalty, and then you pay your marketing budget. And then for most, there's a local marketing. And then for certain brands, like my Nothing Bundt Cakes, we don't have a DMA where we could pull together all of our money. But Tropical Smoothie, we do have a DMA where we can pull into our money together for locally and do bigger marketing events that will touch everyone.
For the folks at home, Danny, can you identify what a DMA is, please?
So it's when the group of that particular, like for the South Florida region, so everybody in Miami, Dade County, Broward County, and Palm Beach County will get together and pull all of their marketing dollars. And then we make decisions together. Okay, hey, yes, we should run an ad on, Y100 because it touched the Tri-County. Or yes, we should run an ad at the Dolphin game or whatever it is, where we know it'll touch because we'll have more money versus me using my 1% to send out flyers.
Awesome. Now, Stephane, for you, the beauty market is packed. Every day there's a new beauty product. I was in the beauty business years and years ago. I just can't even imagine the level of competition, and especially like with your product range, right? Because beauty, typically you have three brackets. You have, anything under really $10 to $12. You have that probably, 13 to 30, and then you have where you start kicking, 30 to 70, and then 70 and up. Where do you
Prestige. Yeah.
guys? I'm sorry.
No. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, where do you guys fall in that bracket, and how do you differentiate yourself? Obviously, Haitian castor oil is the prime factor, but how else do you bring people, get eyes to you?
Yeah, no, great question. So the first half, as far as where do we, within that spectrum, so you have your mass, and then your prestige, and then like there's somewhere in the middle. For us, we even like I said, as far as like the vision, I always envision Kreyol Essence and the product that we're selling as like a masstige all the way to prestige. Again, you think about the culture, you think about what it is, the work that it takes. We're sourcing directly out of Haiti with local farmers, so it's handcrafted, it's exported, and so you not only is it a financial decision, but it's also a reputational decision, right? Of making sure that you're placing your product in a place that would be quote unquote respected. Yeah, respected by guy. And so very early on, that's why Whole Foods is like a good marker for us, because we know that the minute, and we also want to put that respect for the customer as well, right? If you're walking into a Whole Foods, someone's going to stop you, or there's someone on the floor to ask you questions, or to ask them questions, or to guide you through that experience that you're purchasing. Same thing with Ulta. We wanted to make sure that the beauty experts on the floor can essentially assist the customer with their product needs, with their hair needs, and the information that they needed. So, all that is essentially is the market positioning that we wanted for Kreyol Essence, to making sure that they, as our customers in our tribe, which is what we call them, they're walking to a store, they're going to be respected. And when you're talking about beauty, and especially our early adopters, which were Haitian women, like a lot of people but we can say, it was our tribe that actually came and helped build Kreyol Essence. And so for us, we wanted it to making sure that we're positioning the brand in the product, because often and historically, when they do go into those stores, those products are not available for them. And that experience is not available for them. That white glove VIP treatment is something that we wanted to give to all Kreyol Essence customers, from online all the way through the store. So, which is why we took that masstige approach. But we also knew that we had to grow with our tribe when it came to ingredients, like Danny was saying, right? Like, she strategically put herself in a position to offer natural and clean food. Same thing on the beauty side. We strategically wanted to make sure that our customers are growing with us. Yes, you're going to start off with a $10 bottle, all the way up to a $20, $30 shampoo. But you need, in that time that you've been with us, that $30 shampoo has natural, clean ingredients, no silicone, no parabens, that's going to really help you with your beauty journey for that. So yes, it can be pricey, but we're doing our due diligence, making sure that we're educating you along that journey to know why and the value of that product that you're purchasing. Beyond that, and the second question with regards to competition, I think the biggest thing is just understanding and staying true to your tribe and listening to them. We sometimes my customers tell me what they want, and the beauty of sort of being a company of our size is that we can actually act quickly. I'm actually working on some goodies for the holidays right now, and cranking them out in our facility. But as a nimble or digitally native brand, we can do that. We can create some products that our customers might need just for the holiday, put it out to market, put it on our .com, and then essentially see how that doesn't meet the need of the customer. And then can we scale that product and then ultimately get it to Ulta and roll it out to a larger distribution channel. But listening to the customers, that I would say is like number one with regards to fending off competition and or building your own tribe. Because you're right, everyone has their tribe, everyone has their customer base. We just want to make sure that we give 100% with customer service and the products and quality that we out there, and everybody else you got in there,
And then I guess before we close out, I mean, I want to again thank you guys for being so gracious with your time. I think that people will look back and watch this over and over, and I think there's so many good, tangible takeaways of how to get started. So two questions to both of you before we close out. One, both of you work with your respective partners. What is life like working with your partner? I work with my partner. So I think, what is life like for you guys working with your partner? What advice would you give to someone about working with their partner? So go ahead, Danny.
Oh. Life
The
is
$1 million question.
it's a good question. I think it's actually amazing. It's nice to know that your business partner is your life partner. So you making money, we both making money. I think you just have to have in mind, like literally, we have a conversation every day about business. There's never a day that goes by that we're not discussing business. Even on vacation, I'm like, well, you know what? This is the plan. This is where we're at. So I think you just have to know that, you're just going to discuss business every day. It's just a part of the business is your baby. At the end of the day, literally, this business is your baby, and you want to give it all you can. I think it's amazing. You kind of have to know your role. I think in every relationship, I'll speak for my relationship. I do certain things and she do certain things, and it just works best. Like we don't do the same tasks ever. So we never step on each other's feet. So that comes into business role as well. So we kind of know this is where I excel in, and this is where, she's going to take the lead on. And that's how it just works that way. And if you're working with your partner, if you're not married, then you want to make sure you have, regardless, even if you're not married, even if you're married, you still have to have an operation agreement. You still have to have all those documents to lay everything out. So I say everything, you always want to have documentation. You want everything to be in writing. You want everything to be legal. If it's 50-50, it needs to be black and white, 50-50 on paper. So there's no confusion at the end of the day. Any advice? Just have everything on paper. Make sure that, I'm kind of a little old school, equally yoked. If I'm putting in 10%, I want you to be putting in 10%, or we're taking 20% out of the family money, but kind of thing. You just want to be on the same page with everything business wise.
Thank you, Danny. Yeah, I mean that OA agreement, it is a bear, but it is very much necessary when entering into business with anyone, partner or otherwise. How about on your end, Stephane?
Well, like Danny says, it gets fun, but I struggle with this for the longest. I think for me it was in building. I would say similarly, like we have respective roles. Our roles flip often the time. I think very early on, because the idea was Ifkar's original baby. I actually came on board not too late, but I was there in the inception of building the company. So of course, because it's her original vision, she's coming in as CEO, and I think for me, a lot of it was just like, okay, male ego, Haitian ego, just like, oh my God, tu m'aimes qui m'aime. You're the boss. And then I'm getting it at home, and I'm getting it from 9 to 5, So I think a biggest thing for me was just, learning how to drop that ego and know that, hey, let's treat this as it's a business. Like, but I feel if I was working for somebody else. So, like being able to like have that same level of respect, that same level of attentiveness in the professional aspect of the relationship. In hindsight and looking back, yes, I mean, it was beautiful building and continuing to build with my partner, because, business trips end up being a quick little staycation, and, you can experience these things together, with your best friend, with your business partner, and your significant other. I would say as far as advice, it would be communication. Like I said, the early years that where I was struggling with it was just because I wasn't, communicating, or we weren't communicating with each other to say, I for one, I do like that break of like, let's just be a couple. Let's just like, not talk about business. And so, trying to remember to date, especially when things get crazy. We just came out of the fog, I call it, or the dungeon, where a couple months we like Danny was saying, the COVID period, we legit work Sunday to Sunday, and just cranking orders out, getting things going, and then we stepped back and said, hey, you know what, we haven't gone on a date in months. So it was super important to remember, is like, yes, you have a relationship that you want to maintain and sustain. I, for one, I'm always asking to like, time out. Is this couple talk or is this business talk?
Absolutely.
I need that balance, it's just important for me. And, I just need to continue working at it and like throwing those reminders out. But communication, I would say, is like the number one tip, because again, you're going to find those times where you don't want to disappoint your partner. She might be like, hey, I have this eureka moment. Go, go, go. And I'm like, babe, I really need us to just be a couple right now. I know you're excited about this, but like, let's talk about it on Monday, or let's talk about it on Sunday. So those are the different areas that I've learned over the years, to just like communicate very early on of like where you're feeling emotionally, where your mental health is, and like, making sure like that the partnership can continue to sustain that.
I do want to note that we don't work together. So that's might be a difference on why. Okay. My wife still keeps her corporate job. So that's why it's not, 40 hours together.
Yeah.
Granted, I would love it. I would love all these 40 hours. But she, on the other hand, would need her break. So I will note that. So if you're working together, please do not take my advice. But if you're not, you do want to have those conversations, discuss business.
Yeah.
And while
but you're right.
business,
It's so easy to just like, hey, look what's on. Look at Real Housewives of Atlanta. Oh, hey, maybe they could be a good influence. You know what I mean? So it's just like, it just goes naturally. It naturally comes out, and then you have to like remember to reel yourself back in. To like, weren't we just talking about something completely non-business related?
Yeah.
That is great from both of you. I'm really big on respecting folks' time. So we're 1 minute over. I think we did pretty good, because we've had a really rich discussion and touched on some things.
I know we were over, and I just want to say this, because I don't want to leave without saying this, sure. Is that when you start a business, I think it doesn't matter if you're doing franchise or not. You want to make sure that you have a good team. And I don't mean team as employees. I mean team as your lawyer, your CPA, your banker. You want to have all of that. Do not skimp on that. I think that's a very major thing that we forget when we get into the role. Yeah. Like, I'm going to start a business. Oh, my cousin or my college roommate got an accountant. No, you need to make sure that you have a great team that's going to back you up, and also do all your research, and just have people that you can talk to as you grow and scale and just grow with your business.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of us can underscore the team aspect. And to Danny's point, you need a lawyer, you need an accountant, but you also need people that specialize in that business. Right. Yeah. So if don't get a lawyer who works on, a real estate attorney if your business is painting, right? You need someone that's very well versed in the painting industry as an attorney. Same thing with the tax person. If you're launching a hedge fund, you want to get someone who's actually well versed in the financial sector, not someone who, does taxes occasionally come tax time. So, I think the team aspect is major, and also specific to what you're interested in or what you're pursuing. I think you guys have been fantastic. I want to give both of you a moment to tell folks where they can find you. So Danny, please tell us where we can buy. Oh, also a question for you, Danny. They can support you online as well, right? Both in store or online, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Danny, please give out all the places they can come eat, drink, and be merry.
Okay, so whenever you're celebrating, definitely check us out. Nothing
Or
but
if you're not
cake.
celebrating, if you're just hungry,
Or if you're
right?
if you need dessert, if you're having if you need
Yeah.
a thank you, a pick me up, we have various cute goodies in general that you can visit our website, nothing Bundt, BUNDT cakes with a S.com. I'm located at 143 Northwest 136 Ave, right next to IKEA. That is the landmark. Next to IKEA, you can place your order. It's great for office or get together, anything. We have cute individual buntlets. We have 8-inch and 10-inch cakes. Tropical smoothie. We have, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, everything. You can even add protein to your to your smoothie. Located at 2510 West Broward Boulevard in Fort Lauderdale, next to the Walmart shopping plaza. And coming soon, I can't remember the address right now, but North Miami Beach.
Thank you so much, Danny. Please go visit and support Nothing Bundt Cakes online, in person. And they're putting it in the chat right now. Stephane, please tell us where we can get our beauty products and how we can support you.
So his earbuds,
Oh,
guys. So he's saying you can visit KreyolEssence.com.
Stephane put it in the chat. You can visit KreyolEssence.com. You can go to Ulta beauty stores and you can ask for Kreyol Essence. You can also find them in certain Whole Foods, right? And ask for Kreyol Essence. And I'm sure there are also some independent beauty retailers, independent boutiques that. Oh, you're back. Go ahead.
I'm back. I got like a bar.
Okay.
but yeah, definitely. We definitely support wholesalers, boutiques. We do have a wholesaler program if you're interested. But yeah, the different locations that you listed is where you can find Kreyol Essence. Get your Masquiti, people.
Yes. So thank you both for your time. This has been fantastic. I really enjoyed talking to you guys. I hope those who are listening, you go through and you play this like 5 or 6 or 7 times and take tons and tons of notes, because Stephane and Danny gave us fantastic tips about entrepreneurship, about life, about scaling and growing your business, about, differentiating yourself in your respective sectors. So have a wonderful Sunday, everyone, and good night. Good afternoon.
Good night. Or